This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. You got Jeff, you got Al, you got Tori here, and we want to get straight in. We say we'd give you updates, and we are. There is a glimmer of hope today in the search for that missing sub. Canada deployed this submarine hunter aircraft that uses sonar buoys, okay? And it actually detected underwater noises in 30-minute intervals that are thought to be coming from the tourist submersible that went missing on its way to see the Titanic on Sunday. Now, the U.S. Navy has sent a deep ocean salvage system to aid in the recovery efforts, but experts say no rescue, zero, has ever been done this deep before. The 5 people on board, who I feel like it's a movie, have less than 24 hours of oxygen left. We are also learning of several safety concerns about the missing vessel that the employees of the company has raised, and a friend of one of the missing men said he actually pulled out at the last moment of the dive because he thought the company was, quote, cutting too many corners. Now, one of the leading theories about what happened is that the sub actually got stuck in the Titanic wreckage. This is exactly what happened to a former TV journalist and scientist who said he almost died when his vessel became wedged under the Titanic's stern near the ship's propellers. So what do we make of all these developments? Do you think they can pull off a rescue operation like this? First off, do you think they can do this? Do you feel like there is hope for this?
I do.
Me too.
I don't know why I do.
Me too.
But there's still time.
Absolutely do not, but please continue.
Okay, yeah,
I'm not trying
that's
to be
good.
dark.
No, and that's good. I don't know why. I feel like they're going to come out of this because they're so smart and intellectual. Somehow the lack of they know to knock every 30 minutes, right? To give out that signal. I talked about that yesterday about that Navy, and I screwed up, not the pilot, but what do you call what's a pilot on this boat?
Captain.
A captain, yeah. The Navy captain.
Yes,
I couldn't think of it.
yes.
I was learning about that yesterday, right? So they know to do that, but they didn't put a beacon on their, especially in today's age, you could get beacons for people's cars, your iPhone, your purse. They didn't seem to have some sort of sophisticated beacon in case of an emergency.
At all.
I'm not even joking, like even an AirTag. If your phone is working down there.
Well, you're at 13,000 feet. Nothing is working down there. So you would have needed a beacon that would have been made for that. But there was no tracer, no beacon. And Al, they also had flammable materials on board. This is part of the reasons the guy said, I'm out of here.
Yes.
Tell me why you said you don't feel like there's hope. And I realize you're just being analytical at this point.
Right, I'm being analytical.
Right.
Obviously, I hope these people are brought home to stop, of course. But, it's the same reason that, when you're in Vegas, you only hear the casino machines that hit. What if those machines made noise when you lost? What would that casino sound like?
Very loud.
That's what usually happens. You usually don't find people in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with no beacon on their small, compact submersible, not even a sub. It's just unlikely that you can find people at those depths. We haven't even begun to explore. There are organisms and creatures we've never seen down there. And so the idea that we're going to be able to find something, if we were talking about locating a Navy sub or, something somebody could live on for 30 days and be fine, that's a totally different conversation. But this, and the fact that we just heard this gentleman say, I pulled out because they were cutting corners, that means that the things that might extend life, 3 or 4 days, probably aren't on board. I hope I'm wrong.
They picked up a signal. Right, I know. Right. And I don't know why I'm hopeful, because when Tori mentioned it sounds like a movie,
Jeff.
I see this movie playing out.
Yeah.
I see the other side of this for some reason, and I hope there is another side of this. But when they picked up that signal, that means they're not looking in the Atlantic. They're looking at a specific spot. I understand there's currents and things like that, and it is finding a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But with the eyes that are on this, the world's attention, I feel like they're going to find them, and it's going to be like this historic story, like when the coal miners got out. After, and I understand the clock is ticking.
Boys in the
Chilean miners, right? Is that what?
No, that was another.
A different one, yeah. But that story played out too.
Right. And there is hope that there's a French diver on that boat that makes me think he knows how to calm everyone in an emergency in diving. I'm hoping. I want to know, A, why you think the world is so interested, but B, psychologically, we're learning what they might be going through. And remember, Al, they're sitting like here. Is there a camera that can show
you about
this?
to fight me at a
no,
bar?
but you're like this close to the person.
Oh,
so you're
wow.
staring eye to eye.
I didn't know they were that close.
Right, so psychologically, someone is saying, a psychologist said, they're really bonded. They're also going through extreme mood swings, and they're maybe having some gallows humor just to like keep up with it. Psychologically, what would you
Gallows
do?
humor?
Yeah, like dark, deep. They say
Where'd you
people,
get that from?
The psychologist, it's a full quote. They say they might be going through these wild mood swings of we're going to do this, we're going to laugh about it, we're going to cry, we're going to bond, because you sort of have an experience of being in an isolation tank at that point. What would you guys do psychologically or think you would do?
I don't know if I'd be playing Scrabble down there. You know what I mean? I'd be panicked, I think, right? And I'd have to rely on the experts to help me out. The guy built the ship, and we talked to him, or not talked to him, we saw that clip yesterday of how he's like, it's not that big of a deal, we just need this or that. So I'd be like, buddy, you got us into this, you know what I mean? Like, I hope you know something to get us out. I don't know how humor would play a role down there.
Well, it's really, I feel like what they're going through are the stages of grief. You know, anger,
what
then,
I thought too.
You know, humor, then acceptance, then denial, all those kinds of things. And the problem is that they're all probably going through those stages at different times right next to each other. And there is going to be some anger because I'm like, I brought my son down here and you have a PlayStation controller here. So the idea of people being able to, you would have to be almost like we joke around like your Buddhist teachings, but they would have to be like people that have spent decades channeling their energy and channeling their feelings to be able to calm themselves as you're in a situation in which you're designed to panic. I went to a friend's graduation party. It was at the top of some hotel. She went to Tufts in Boston, and we were leaving the party, the party center at the top of the hotel, and we got on the elevator. The elevator went down like a half a foot, and it just stopped. And we were sitting on this stuck elevator for 3.5 hours, 4 hours, and I distinctly remember like who was calm. There was like this frat guy that was panicking. He was trying to open the doors. He had taken his shirt off. People handle stressful situations much differently. And all it takes is one or two people to have a mutiny. You don't know what went on down there.
I was also thinking that, for sure.
Will there be that anger or a fight?
But if you built the machine and somehow it broke down, so they're obviously, if they're giving signals, they're still alive, right?
Correct.
Can't that guy work on it somehow from inside, like to get the motor running again? I don't know why. I don't. Well, listen, there's a time ticking on this, right?
24
so
hours.
right now I'm hopeful.
Right.
So
there's also another
we'll
question, Jeff, and we were talking about this before we started the show. Is the fact that they're down there with something that seems to be malfunctioning because they're billionaires and they pushed the envelope and they were just like, hey, we want to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, who can tell a billionaire no? Who's going to tell? Mark Cuban wants to come in here and buy this show and everything in it. He can do it. No one ever tells them no.
Now, they did sign a waiver. Then the waiver had death 3 times listed on it. It did say this isn't a certified ship by any means. If you were a billionaire, would you have ever signed? I guess I'm saying, what kind of person signs that waiver?
Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Billionaires that jump out of planes.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what they do. They're known as kind of bad boy tech billionaires, and they live life on the edge.
Right.
And I think when you can have anything, the one thing you want is emotion and feeling. The one thing that you can't buy, the things that other people can't do. And I think that they allowed that emotion to pull them, like no pun intended, into the bottom of the sea looking for that feeling. And I don't think the vessel that they were on was equipped or ready.
No, I agree with you. I hope that they're like the Thai kids. Remember, they meditated, they slowed their breath down. I'm hoping they're doing that, and we hope beyond all hopes that they are okay. We will keep you updated. Coming up on DBL, a wild story of a restaurant getting fined after using a fake priest to get workers to confess to stealing. And we're talking with our favorite lifestyle expert, Kim Douglas. She's sharing insider beauty tips from soap opera stars. DBL. This show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm going to have a conversation about what's happening now. He said funny. Okay. He says, what do you mean, like funny? He said that. He didn't say the other.
When you said gallows humor?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Jeff, I thought
If you guys don't know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
If you don't know what gallows humor is dark comedy, very dark comedy, and literally like hanging gallows, right? And people in strong, bad situations use a defense mechanism to sometimes.
I would think people in the army, paramedics.
Right, they're like, well, if they're all literally on the edge of death,
I
you can make humor because it's a defense mechanism. So
But I think I said
it's
funny
a
because I was
bizarre
like they're making
way
jokes.
that the brain works,
Yeah.
but it is a survival mechanism.
I would think more
and so,
mutiny. Well, anyways.
yeah.
No, we're
It
talking-
sounded like I said something else under my breath, but I said funny.
Right,
but I was
right.
saying, like, I don't know if I would be. I understand there's like levels and it's probably psychological, but my mind would be more of a mutiny down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my son's on here, and you know, it's kind of your own. You went on there and signed the waiver, but you're in tight quarters. I feel like you get
But Jeff,
aggravated
you did
really
travel
quick.
around the world. How many waivers did you have to sign saying you could die? How many,
Yeah, right?
I'm
You
assuming
did a lot
had to
of
sign
those.
some when you did zip lining and
The bull riding?
bungee
That's just
riding,
a whole. That
bungee
just
jumping.
the claustrophobia of that whole thing. I just don't know where the humor comes in.
I don't think that you would even get on that. Just knowing you and knowing myself, you would just look and you'd be like, I'm not joking. Once I saw that controller, I was like, I'm out. I'm out. That does not look. Even if they had levers, I could at least see how those could work better. So I'm like, that controller, like, you can return that at Best Buy. That was a PlayStation controller.
Yeah, there's very any. There's only one portal.
interviewer said it.
But how do you not have a beacon on
so
there?
stupid.
It just seems like,
That's my only thing. How do you not have a beacon?
I think he's just like, it's like.
Welcome back to DBL. Here is a very strange story. We want to get your take. A Mexican restaurant in California allegedly hired a fake priest to get workers there to confess to their workplace sins. What if they did that with us? Oh! Okay, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, employees testified the priest offered confessions to get the sins out and asked them questions about if they've been late for work or stolen any money. But the scheme, it didn't work. And the restaurant is now on the hook for $140 grand. They have to pay back employees for overtime that it denied and more. What do we think of the fake priest scheme?
Well, Tori, I want to get your opinion on the illegality of this, but the grossness of this, using somebody's religion, using a priest to coerce information is, I'm sure it is illegal, but it's a deeper level than that. And when there's a lot of people that navigate their way through this life with their religion, and to use that to figure out if they're taking napkins out of the back is just super disrespectful. And I hope this company pays a lot of punitive damages for what they did, because what they did was repugnant and it was unnecessary. Yeah. And it's menacing and threatening. And again, this is one of the issues with people that are here illegally, and why we're trying to get people to be here legally is because they get taken advantage of like this. Because people can always hang over your head. That's why sexual assault is so rampant, because what are you going to do? Go to the cops? What are you going to do? We're going to pay half your wages. It's a way to control and basically financially enslave people with the fear of being sent home. So there's a lot to the story for me.
And I'm not trying to push back, because I agree with
Please.
you. I think using, and your reward is a confession, which is like terrible.
They also use immigration as well.
Right, which is horrendous. But what if the company and the restaurants, which does happen a lot, people do steal a lot from restaurants, what if they were trying to weed out those? Is there any other side to this, Jeff, that you can see where they were trying to maintain safety controls? Obviously in a disgusting way, but do you see the other side at all?
Well, I think Al, you pumped that up a little bit. I was just going to make some jokes about me eating sushi when I worked at a sushi place. But we could bring it to that level. So I think they're stealing. I think they're stealing more than napkins to take the other side there, right? They're taking a lot every day. That's someone else's livelihood. No one should be stealing, whatever the conditions are. You really shouldn't do that morally. Now, with the priest thing, you shouldn't do that morally either. Right. And how does that start? Let alone getting to the level of the afterlife and things like that. When do you say, be like, hey, Frank, man, you want to dress up like a priest and kind of have a talk with these guys? Like, where in your mind are you at that level of desperation that you go to that as a tactic?
What about cameras?
I mean, if you know they're stealing.
Doesn't that take care of most of it? I just thought it just seemed too diabolical for somebody that organized it to not really enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
That's something that you want to do.
Yeah.
That's not something you just like land on.
That's like a complicated plot. All right, we all know that working in the service industry, especially at a fast food restaurant, can come with all sorts of headaches, including dealing with disruptive customers. But one McDonald's employee had enough. Video shows the employee throwing a drink at a customer who then begins to throw food and more back at the worker. This all happened last Thursday in Australia. And in a statement, the restaurant said that what wasn't on tape was that the customer was coming behind the counter and threatening the crew. What do we think about this? If you're coming back and threatening, I say it's like you're coming in, I mean, all hands off at that.
This is where we're at kind of when we differ, like, on perspective. You know, people say you shouldn't take it in your own hands to do anything, right? Because if you hurt someone, it's ultimately your fault. And this is my detriment, right? If I was the guy right behind that guy, maybe there'd be a problem here. And guess what? I'd be in a jail for assault or choking someone or whatever it may be, right? That's my problem. My blood is already turning. If I was in that restaurant, now it's my problem. Because you don't act like that. And I don't know where in society we found out that it's okay to rebel in this sort of way. And somehow, in some strange corner of the internet, people are like, good for you. Don't let them talk.
It's not a corner of the internet. It's the law. Like, he can see you. If you would have to stand behind that man and listen to him berate a young woman, insult somebody that might have a disability, and that's all legal. So I don't know. Sometimes you got to take it in your own hands. Not saying it's a good idea. Sometimes, as we saw it, it happens.
Good Lord. We'll be right back. Let us know what you think.
There are several claims about coffee. One we got in our email says caffeine can actually help prevent Alzheimer's disease. So to get answers, we went to family physician Dr. Carla Robinson, the Alzheimer's Society, and a paper published in the National Library of Medicine.
Some preliminary data does show that there could be some benefit to caffeine as it relates to preventing or decreasing your risk of Alzheimer's disease.
This paper published in the National Library of Medicine looked at several different studies about dementia and caffeine and found 3 out of the 5 studies support favorable effects against cognitive dementia.
It seems like there may be some sort of anti-inflammatory effect that is seen in caffeine that allows for your risk of dementia to be decreased.
Though many of these studies are favorable, Dr. Robinson says more studies need to be done to look at how much caffeine a person should consume.
We're still trying to tease out exactly why there seems to be improved risk as it relates to Alzheimer's when you have coffee drinkers.
The Alzheimer's Society also states there's no definitive answer to this question because previous studies have shown mixed results. Robinson says either way, drinks like coffee can be beneficial in moderation as long as you're not adding too much of the extra stuff.
A lot of people add in a lot of sugar, or they may add in creams or other high-fat items that may then kind of negate the health benefit that you were going for.
With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Welcome back. In 2021, we lost the great Jerry Douglas, who was known best as John Abbott from The Young and the Restless. But to celebrate the show's 50th anniversary, the Abbotts will be joined by friend of the show, Kim Douglas. Earlier, we spoke with her about her husband's legacy, and she gave us a few insider tips. Take a look. Please welcome Kim Douglas.
Corey, Jeff, Al, Sam, you don't call, you don't write. I'm doing this interview, but I'm not talking to any of you.
I try not to be on Instagram as much anymore, so I will own that. I really do.
I gotta work on that.
Because I'm addictive. I have an addictive personality.
I know. I just miss you guys.
We miss you too, Kim, and I think I drank my phone over the weekend, so yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. All right, so Kim, let's get right to it. It's always great seeing you. We love you. We love you. But what was it like playing Zelda on the same set of your late husband, Jerry? He worked there for 38 years.
Wow.
He sure did, Jeff. You know, it's how we met. I interviewed him. You know the story. If I interviewed Charles Manson or the Night Stalker, I probably would have married them. Interview, college. It ended up working out for us, thank God. 37 years married. It was really, really emotional, Jeff. Went there, the scenes and the sets were still up of where John Abbott character works, and his company, which is like Revlon.
Yep.
Oh, they're my TV family, and I love every one of them. I'm dear friends with Eileen Davidson and Beth Maitland and so many. It was really touching, and it was a beautiful thing for the executive producer and head writer, Josh Griffith, to think of me when they came up with this character of Zelda. Do I look like a Zelda?
You do.
I like that name. Yeah.
I think she can pull off anything.
I'm digging the aqua. And I was gonna tell you, Kim, I'm sorry I'm not on social media like that, but I'm 1986 with it. Just call me on the phone. I'm like my dad, just sitting drinking coffee, talking on the phone. So just hit me up. You know, speaking of special moments, you had one because yours and Jerry's son Hunter came back to the set for the 50th anniversary, but this wasn't his first time being there. Do you remember his first time on set?
Oh, Al, you will love this. So, you know, when you have little ones, it's Sam for sure knows, and Jeff, you know, they go see daddy or mommy at work. So when Hunter would go see daddy, it was like going to the set. And we lived very close to the young man that played Jerry's son, Peter Bergman, who's still there. Right. And Hunter knew his real life wife. We would go trick-or-treating there, go for breakfast, go for dinner with them. So when Hunter got to the set, you know, it is a soap opera, Al. So Peter was in bed having an affair with Michelle Stafford, who was not his wife on the show. So Hunter's there, and Jerry had said, you know, we don't talk. This is a scene. And he was sitting there, and something was going on in his little head. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the scene, which is very expensive, you guys, it's like a movie a day. He goes, Peter, that's not your wife, and you're in bed with her. You're a bad man.
Good for him.
I mean, the actress jumped out, but to this day, Al, Peter Bergman's real life wife walks up to Hunter and says, thanks for having my back, Hunter.
That's a real friend. We're your real friends. I love it.
I think I remember that scene with Phyllis. I know Phyllis, you know, was having affairs left and
she
right.
got around. But, amazingly, soap stars always stay the same age for years on their shows. I want to know, did you learn any behind-the-scenes beauty tips so we can do the same?
Oh, come on, Kim. We need
give us the good
come
stuff.
Hey, Tori, it's like you and Flippin' Sam. You look the same from the day you started till now.
Get out of here.
I'm serious, but like Susan Lucci, Deidre Hall, come on, you guys, for 40 years, they look the same. Here's the secrets I found. We all know sunscreen, right? You wear sunscreen. Okay, who doesn't know about that? Here's my secret from the soap stars. Wear vitamin C first. Put your vitamin C on, then your sunscreen. It increases the effectiveness of your sunscreen.
Get out of here.
This one is called Fountain of Glow. It's great. It's a strong vitamin C, no chemicals. My other one, you guys, when you have your body cream, your body lotion that you're using, I use the Works, you put on a bronzer. And Tori, I know you're the queen of bronzers. This is Goop Proof. You put a little bronzer on first, Tori. Then you put your moisturizer, blend it in, put it all over your chest, everywhere, and you've got that glow.
Oh my gosh.
Don't say I'm not a soap queen, because I am.
Wow.
I love you, Kim.
Next time you need to get something to get bronzer off the furniture around
It's
town.
everywhere.
That'll be the next project.
It's everywhere.
I watch her. I know her stories. I know all of her. I know, Tori.
I leave footprints.
That'll be next time.
I love you, Kim.
Kim, we adore you. We always love when you join us. DBL Nation, you can see Kim as Zelda on The Young and the Restless this Thursday on CBS. Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
Cool.
Always a treat to have you.
Congrats.
I love you. Mwah. Bye. Bye.
Hey, I just moved into a new apartment and I'm trying to find some way to save some extra money. One of my friends told me that I should unplug all my appliances because it's going to save me some money on my electric bill. So the last thing I do every day before I leave for work is I run around and I make sure that everything's unplugged. But honestly, I'm not sure that it works. Can you guys verify this?
Sure.
Sure thing. My sources for this are home improvement expert Tom Garcia and Duke Energy. Let's start there. Duke Energy identifies devices called energy vampires, which continue using energy even when turned to the off position. They come in two categories: wall arts like a cell phone charger and bricks like a cable box. Duke Energy projects you can save about $100 a year by unplugging these vampires. There's even a website calculator. But home improvement expert Tom Garcia said these savings are minuscule compared to the money you could save by tweaking 5 bigger appliances.
The first one is your air conditioning system, especially this time of year. The air conditioners use 30 to 40% of all the energy used in your home. So that's a big one. So even a small change in what you do there with your AC system can make a big change in your energy bill.
Number 2 is your water heater. Turn down your water heater to the lowest possible temperature at which you feel comfortable. If you are turning on your hot water and you immediately have to switch it to cold to cool it down for your shower or bath, it is set too hot. Number 3, your electric dryer. Don't run it in the middle of the day, or else it'll add heat to the home and cause your AC to work harder. So do laundry in the morning or evening when it's cooler outside. Number 4, your oven. Keep the door closed while cooking so you don't lose heat. And know how long your oven takes to preheat so you're ready to start cooking as soon as it hits that correct temperature. Number 5 is your refrigerator and freezer. Don't set them colder than they need to be. Stick with 38 degrees for your refrigerator and 0 degrees for your freezer. Do all these tips, or even just a couple, and you could save several $100s a year. Back to Tom's question, can unplugging your devices every day cut down on your energy bill? Yes, but not significantly month to month. Focus on those big 5 appliances first.
Have you ever looked at the sky and wondered, are we really alone? One viral video claims to prove we're not, showing an alien in a Las Vegas backyard. But does it? Let's verify. Our sources are a video on TikTok, a news report by KLAS TV, and an analysis using video forensics tools InVid and RevEye. We used InVid and RevEye to trace the video back to 2 clips, a news report from KLAS in Las Vegas and a TikTok. On June 7th, KLAS posted a news report on YouTube about a family who called 911 to report that something fell from the sky and that 2 large creatures were in their backyard. The news station's video contains audio from the 911 call and police body cam footage, but no large creatures. The large alien-like figure in the viral video came from this TikTok. The video was published with the hashtags CGI and Blender 3D, the name of a 3D imaging program, indicating it was a computer-generated image. The viral video is an edited combination of the CGI alien with part of the KLAS story. So, no. The viral video claiming to show an alien in a Las Vegas backyard is not real. And KLAS reports Las Vegas police were unable to find any evidence of anything out of this world.
Welcome back. It's officially summer, which means grilling season is in full swing. Here's some safety tips from Sunsetter for your next cookout. First, make sure your grill is a safe distance from your home. Also, make sure you have access to a fire extinguisher and a spray bottle to control the flames. Also, keep your grill on a flat, level surface so it doesn't tip. And most importantly, never leave your grill unattended while in use. Sunsetter is America's #1 best-selling awning. With affordable custom features without the custom price, spend more time outside and get the best value with Sunsetter. It's been an industry leader for 30 years. So call 1-800-513-6851 or visit sunsetter.com for guaranteed pricing on American-made awnings built to last. Again, our thoughts, our prayers. We hope that we will have better news for you. But DBL's new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.